So I'm Peterson Vargas. I'm the director of A Very Good Girl.
Hi, I'm Kathryn Bernardo. I'm 27. I'm an actress here in the Philippines, and I'm portraying the role of Philo and Mercy.
Hi, I'm Dolly de Leon, and I play Molly Suzara in A Very Good Girl.
Great. Thank you so much. First of all, congratulations to all of you. I'm Filipino myself, so
Oh
I
wow,
grew up
thank you.
watching a lot of Filipino
Yay.
films, but I will say this was unlike any other Filipino movie I've seen so far. It's
In a
so
good way.
different from like the usual comedy, romance,
Yay.
ABS-CBN movies that we see, right? So
Mhm, mhm.
Peterson, you definitely took a risk on this.
We
Can
all
you
did.
start us off by talking about what drew you to this project and what about this revenge narrative resonated with you and made you want to direct it?
Yeah. Uh, I feel like at first I think the creative challenge was to make a revenge movie, but in the way that it's a candy colored, sassy world. Like I feel like that first challenge was what drew me to the project because I feel like that's kind of like there's like this irony of like, portraying this kind of high society with a lot of like with a women led cast, but like underneath that there's like this brewing anger and frustration being represented by this young powerless Filipina trying to fight against a larger system. So I think that alone resonated with me a lot because I feel like it could be a very fun platform, and I emphasize on fun because I feel like to connect with audiences nowadays, we have to do it in different ways, and I feel like to engage them in this very entertaining and very delicious ride, I would call it. I feel like we could still try to have our message across that like trying to underline how social inequality could lead to like all these social injustices, and how like how we could also kind of put introduce a platform for women's stories to be at the forefront of Filipino cinema.
Thank you for that. It's definitely a refreshing narrative. And like I said, it's a step away from the usual Filipino rom-com movies. So, and I definitely think you brought a unique visual style and storytelling approach to the film. While it involves all
Thank
this
you.
drama, right? You can still differentiate it
Mhm.
from the storytelling from like let's say a Filipino teleserie. So can you discuss the
Mm.
visual and stylistic choices you made as a director to convey the
Mm.
themes and emotions of this story?
I think yeah, I think this project is the project where I had to do a lot of research and kind of like because I was very aware that it was very very new foreign territory to me. Uh but it was fun. It was fun because I had to look back on all these. I had to look at crazy cinema. I had to look at cinema that was quite unhinged and that was quite of like pushing the envelope. And so some of the titles that I looked like that I looked for guidance with were Yorgos Lanthimos with Killing of a Sacred Deer and The Favorite, and even the Palme d'Or winning, I don't know how to pronounce it, but Julie Ducournau's Titan, where that film kind of like involves this fucked up, twisted relationship of like found families. And of course, as an Asian, I like when I hear revenge, it's also like synonymous to associating it with Park Chan Wook. And what I love most about like deep diving into Park Chan Wook's body of work is that when he did Sympathy for Lady Vengeance, I felt like an affinity because that was the time when he also casted one of like the biggest soap opera personalities of South Korea. And when they told me that Kathryn Bernardo, like this name already has like a clear definition and like kind of like has a ring to a lot of Filipinos. And you know what a Kathryn Bernardo brand is, but like go like her agreeing to this kind of film and to this role, I felt like an affinity to what Park Chan Wook did with Sympathy for Lady Vengeance. And yeah, it was kind of just like this kind of like finding ways to not really put emphasis on, you know, like the darker sides of the human condition. uh I carried with me a lot, like I came across this quote where it says that women could be monsters, but when they are, women are very human monsters. So I really wanted to put like that the human side of like the monstrosity hidden deep inside of them. And it wasn't going to be all dark. It had to be fun, and it had to be sassy, and it had to be classy.
Yeah, thank you for that, definitely. But other than the story itself, I think a lot of people will be drawn to both of your performances, Miss Dolly and Kathryn. I mean, Miss Dolly, your character definitely annoyed the hell out of me. So honestly, great job
Yes.
portraying Mother Molly.
Yes.
And then with Kathryn, I've been watching your movies since I was young, and I can definitely say that, you know, you're always constantly improving as an actress. So congratulations to both of you.
I'm so glad to hear that. Thank you.
Of course, yeah. So I'm curious about the process of you know, what interested you both in portraying these characters, since these are very complex characters, right? Or maybe not what you're used to. Miss Dolly and Kathryn, how did you react to being casted? What were your initial reservations or doubts about taking on this role?
My only doubt when I took on this role was the script. I just wanted to see the script because that's just my process. That's just how I work. It's very rarely that I work with filmmakers who don't have a script. And that's usually Lav Diaz. He doesn't have a script. He'll just give you the outline or what the story is all about, and then you receive the script on the sides on a daily basis. So that was my only concern. When I heard that I was going to play a very powerful woman who is going to, you know, who was going to cause all hell to break loose for Kathryn Bernardo's character, I said, yeah, I want to do that. I wanna do that. So
Yeah.
that initially when they pitched it to me, I was on board when they told me that my character was going to be this controlling, this overbearing woman who would just cause so much stress and, you know, tension for Kath's character. That was it for me. That was enough for me to get me on board, and of course knowing that Peterson was going to direct it and a woman wrote the script, Dominic Mancol. To me that was very important, and that was really just that was enough for me to just dive in and challenge myself and see what I could do with this character. I like a really good challenge, and when I heard about it initially, I knew that I knew it wasn't going to be easy. And some usually my experience is when a character or a project isn't easy, usually that's where I really thrive, and that's where I cry every night and I feel bad, but I'm happy at the end of the day. So yeah, that was it for me, Michelle. Yeah.
And as for me, Michelle, yeah, I completely fell in love with the concept once they pitched this to me. I think last quarter, last year or early this year. Yeah. I did Too Good to Be True, a TV series here in the Philippines. I don't know if you're familiar with it. But then, yeah, I specifically asked for our head writer in Star Cinema, which is Miss Carmi Raimundo, that I wanted to do something that's a bit different from my last movie, which was Hello, Love, Goodbye back in 2019. That one focused more on this woman pursuing her dreams, and then she met this man and fell in love with the guy, but then she had to choose between her dreams and this man. So it was I think this project is a good transition right after that, because this time it can empower a lot of women, but then I won't be needing a man beside me. So as you notice with the cast, the whole cast was were mostly girls, and there's just one guy in this film, which is Jake Ejercito, and I think it's a good representation of women. And yeah, I really like the project, but then we didn't have the script, the full script then. So day by day, and then every shooting we just discuss about the scenes, what needs to be revised, what we're comfortable doing. And yeah, it was a very collaborative process for Miss Dolly and I, and to the creative team, especially our director P. So I think we're just very lucky because they allowed us to put our inputs and to make the characters a bit personal. So yeah, Philo and Mercy is they're very hard to portray, especially two roles. But then I'm just excited to watch it tonight because this is the first time we'll see the film for the first time tonight. So I can't wait to see how every
Okay, so speaking about your whole experience, right, Miss Dolly, revenge and power, you know, are the central themes in this story. I want to know, how did you prepare for the emotional and psychological aspects of your character's journey? You know, how did you make sure you perfectly embody Mother Molly?
There was really nothing unique in how I approached preparing for Molly. It's always the same process that I do in every character that I play. I just really spend a lot of time knowing them better, finding out where they're coming from, what drives them, what are their weaknesses, what happened to them when they were growing up, finding out their history, knowing what makes them tick. And once I had all of that, everything just fell into place. It's really all about knowing who the character I'm playing is,
Mhm.
and finding out you know what what's their Achilles heel, what drives them, what makes them happy, what makes them sad, and it's really just basically that, and knowing their background, how they were raised, what kind of atmosphere did they grow up in, and all of that eventually leads to the answers to why they make certain choices in the film. And that's
Mhm.
really basically it. It's such a cut and dry answer, but it's really, that's how simply I work. That's all I do. I don't really do any research about people like her, or go to society pages and find out about how these women live, because to
Yeah.
me, every person, every character is unique. They have
Mhm.
their own journey, they have their own language, despite of the world that they live in and they thrive in. And I wanted her to be that very unique person and that very unique character. So it's really all about finding her humanity.
Mhm. Yeah, you know, it's crazy because I realized that your character in A Very Good Girl is like the complete opposite of your character in Triangle of Sadness, right? You played a cleaning woman, and to now the other end of that, a powerful and rich retail mogul. So, but again, A Very Good Girl is also a nod to society's hierarchy and display of power, right? So I'd like to hear from each of you about this film's commentary in society, specifically in the Philippines. Two quotes from the movie stood out to me. One was, if you don't have money, you don't matter. And then the other
Mm,
one was, justice is expensive. Poor people
mm,
like you can't afford it. I think that's how it
mm.
went. But I want to know, do you think this is true and reflective of society and the justice system in the Philippines?
I think it's absolutely true. I think it's really true. It's really hard to deliver a line like that if you don't believe it. So, yeah, it's really true. Justice is really expensive. It's really true. And poor people can't afford it. That's the sad reality. I wish it were not true, but it's a fact. I mean, we all know that the justice system here isn't really serving the people well. We still have a senator who's still in jail because she was unjustly, she's not even convicted. Her case is still pending. So, yeah, unfortunately, the rich become richer and the poor become poorer. And that's not only in the Philippines, it's happening all over the world. And I think that the film makes a great comment on that. It makes a great statement on that. It mirrors society perfectly, even if it's delivered in a very light and funny way, and candy colored, like P said. But that's the reality.
So after, you know, directing this movie and portraying Philo and Mother Molly, what key message would you say the three of you learned, and what you think is a takeaway for not just Filipino audience, but for the international audience?
I think that the key takeaway is everyone goes through shit. Life throws you all sorts of problems, and society will never be, will never live up to the standards of what you expect from society, and there will always be conflicts and challenges that will come your way. But the question really is, how will you face those problems? How will you approach life? To me, that's the whole theme of the film. I mean, we can say something else, Kath can say something else, the audience can say something else, but to me, that's my biggest takeaway. What are you gonna do next? So what are you gonna do about the lemons that are being thrown at you? Are you gonna make lemonade? Are you gonna burn the lemons? So it's really all about it's I think that the beauty of this film is that the audience can make a decision when they see a reflection of themselves on screen. What am I gonna do now, given the circumstances that I'm living in? So it's very empowering in that sense.
Yeah, same. Mine, for me personally, I think it depends on the person watching the film because there are a lot of lessons here. The concept itself, it's really happening, especially here in the Philippines. So personally, my takeaway from my characters, Mercy and Philo, maybe would be something like um being a good person at the end of the day, because life is truly unfair, especially for the less fortunate ones, which is the character I've portrayed, which is Mercy. But then it's up to you at the end of the day whether you want to be a good person or a bad person. So it's really a nice story because it's something that you can discuss with your friends after watching it, because a lot of people can have a different interpretation from the storyline, from the characters. But then I love how the creatives made all the characters very humane. Like they're not just purely evil because they're just evil. There's something going on behind that person's character, and she wants to seek for revenge, not just because she wants to be rich, she wants to enter this kind of world, but then she went through this kind of journey. So it's a different kind of journey for every character, and I think you'll be able to learn a lot of things from the different characters, no matter how short their exposure is in this movie. You'll get something from them. So yeah, I can't wait to hear that after Filipinos, especially non-Filipinos, watch this film.
Hi, everyone. We can't wait for you to watch your film, A Very Good Girl. I mean, we are in your territory. Isn't that exciting? We hope you can share this milestone in Philippine cinema with us. And we are opening on October 4 in the US, Guam, and Canada, and other territories, many others.
Yes, thank you so much for all the support, and I hope you continue to support us and welcome us, especially this Filipino-made film. I hope you will make time for it, not just for Filipinos but for our fellow Asians. This will represent a lot of Asian values. I am personally excited to share it to the world, how Asians are, how Filipinos are, and just how talented Filipinos are. So, yeah, thank you so much. And I hope we get all the support we need. And thank you, Michelle. It was nice meeting you as well.
Of course, it was great
Thank
meeting the three
you.
of you. It's a real honor